These are the 5 exercises that I've been adding into my workout programs religiously over the last few years to help me grow my glutes and my quads and my hamstrings. Throughout that time, I've learned some cues that help me execute these exercises optimally to allow me to get the most return out of them. And today, I'm gonna teach you guys exactly what those cues are so that you could also get the most out of these exercises as well. The first exercise that we're gonna go over today is the staggered stance Romanian deadlift. This exercise has it all. It's basically a single leg exercise, but because you keep one foot down, it is super stable, allowing you to hit the hamstring and the glute amazingly. I'm a huge fan of like barbell stiff leg deadlifts or any sort of Romanian deadlift, but this one has really stolen my heart over the last few years. So if you want to be able to target your glute and your hamstring at the same time and be pretty much gassed within 8 to 10 reps, keep watching. So my favorite way to do this is with dumbbells. I like to have one in each hand, so I always grab 2, of course. We're gonna start with a B stance position. So with our RDLs, remember we wanna have like a soft bend in the knee, and we're pushing those hips back as we drag the dumbbells along the thigh and push the tailbone back towards the wall behind us to get that big stretch in the hammies and in the glutes. And then we're coming back up. So with our B stance, we're gonna have that front leg doing that RDL stance. And then the back leg, I'm on the balls of my foot and on my toes, and I'm in a very stable position. So if you're too close, you're already gonna feel like maybe you're not stable. Just find that position where you're like, okay, like I can rock side to side and I'm not gonna fall over. That's the goal here. And then all we're gonna do is, keeping a bend in this leg, is push that right tailbone back towards the wall behind us as far as we can. Once we get below that knee just a little bit, or you feel like you can't go any lower without rounding your back under like this, we're gonna stop and we're gonna pull those dumbbells back up to the pelvis area. So I'm gonna show you what that looks like with weights on the other side now. I'm giving that slight bend in the front foot on the balls of my feet in the back foot, and then pushing my hip bone back, back, back. That's about as far as I could go before I tear a hammy. And then starting to drive down through the left foot, pulling those weights back up, squeezing the glute. Moving on to the cable step down, which is my second favorite glute exercise right behind the hip thrust. I love the stability of this exercise because we're gonna be holding on to the rack for a little extra support, so we could really focus on that mind muscle connection. The only downside I have to say is honestly the setup. Obviously I have this big long bench here and I'm in a private space right now, so this is pretty nice, but I've done them in big busy gyms before, and yeah, it's a little bit awkward, but the payout of having a big juicy booty honestly is so much greater than the slight embarrassment I felt. The first thing that we have to decide is what side of the glutes are we working first. I'm gonna start on my right side, which means that I'm gonna grab the cable with my right hand. All right, so we're gonna grab here. I'm then going to bring my left hand to the rack. This is the rack for me. It might be a cable machine for you. And I'm gonna step up onto my bench here. From there, I'm gonna think about slightly bending forward at the torso, already stretching the glutes just a little bit more, and then holding onto my cable, creating a really stable base. I'm gonna try to push my foot as far back behind me as I can so that I could create a lot of stretch in the glute here. There's minimal bend in the knee, and I could just really feel all the work happening in through here. So all I'm gonna do is press down through this right leg, pull myself back up. I even kind of think about putting most of the pressure down through my heel, and I notice that helps me connect with my glute a little bit better. And that's gonna be the exercise. What I don't wanna see is a narrow step backwards and a ton of bend in that front knee. So you'll notice my foot really didn't go as far back as it did in those other reps, and my knee is coming out towards the tip of my toes. We don't want that. That's a little bit more quad focused. We wanna make sure that we're getting a really good hinge backwards to further stretch that glute and work it, because by this time we know that stretch usually results in more muscle growth. So again, here, pull yourself back up, feel the burn, and enjoy the exercise. All right, welcome to my third favorite way to hit my glutes, but also one of my favorite ways to also target my quads. It truly is an awesome exercise, but with any lunge, it is also the devil. It's not too often that you could use one exercise to target both the front of the body and the back of the body super effectively, but this is one of those special guys. So let me get into the cues and teach you guys how you're gonna do this. So first, you wanna start with the deficit. This is only 25 pounds and it's about never been good at measuring distance, but I think it's about 2 to 3 inches high. This is gonna be a moderate deficit and a really great place to start if you have never done these before. From there, we wanna get the barbell onto our back, just like this, right above those shoulder blades. So I'm locking it into place here. Take a safe step back, make sure that you look down at your feet and see what you're doing. And I'm gonna come right to the edge of my weight here. From there, I'm gonna take a step back with a slight bend forward in my torso and letting a lot of knee flexion happen. So we're taking a narrower step back so that I could come all the way down, allowing the knee to come very forward with my torso forward to really stretch that glute. And then I'm thinking about driving up through my front leg to pull myself back up. I like to do these alternating because it makes it slightly less terrible. But if you struggle with balance on these, then you might want to do one side at a time, because I did notice for myself and my clients, it does help with balance. And we do want to make sure that we're safe and stable throughout this exercise. The one thing that is my pet peeve is when people have a deficit and stop like here. Like, babe, what was the point of the deficit? We want to go all the way down and all the way back up. So make sure that when you're doing this exercise, you are actually tapping your knee down to the floor. And if you bump up to a 45, but you cannot get your knee all the way down, I suggest just going back to a 25 or adding a 10 on top so that you can get the most out of this exercise. So because at my personal training studio, I only have free weights and like 2 cables, I had to find different ways to build muscle over the last 3 years using only free weights or only body weight. Every few months, I like to throw in the Glute Ham Drive leg curls, and I always get sore from them, and I always get a glute and hamstring pump. This exercise is super challenging, and I've actually found that a lot of my clients can't even do it yet. We kind of have to work up to it. So if you think that this is easy, it is not. And this is something that you could easily take to failure. So what we're going to start with is the feet position on this thing. So you want to make sure that your feet are set up so that you could slide your feet in here. Make sure your foot is flat and that your knees are right in front of the pad here. So we don't want to have too much distance where we're like on top of the pad like this already or anything like that. We want to have the knees meet right in front of the pad. From there, I'm gonna hold myself up. I just kind of keep my hands out in front of me. And I'm gonna think about pushing myself forward so that I could fully elongate my leg and stretch out my hamstring. And then I'm literally just gonna curl myself back up into this starting position. So you wanna keep the core tight, taking that nice big inhale. We're gonna push out. I'm completely straight. My hamstrings are a little bit flexed and they're completely stretched. And then I'm gonna curl back up. Okay, that was 1 and we're already feeling it. So again, big inhale, curl yourself back up. You should feel that squeeze in the hamstrings, especially like at the top where it kind of meets the glute. And then again, you gotta push all the way out. You're pushing yourself towards the wall in front of you, stretching that hamstring. And then now start to bend the knees, press the quad into the pad, pull yourself back up. 3 is good, right? Yeah, 3 is good. Last but not least, we have our cable leg abductions. This was probably the trickiest exercise for me to learn just because there's so many different ways that you could do it, but there's one really solid way so that you could actually feel that upper booty being worked. So what you want to start by doing is locking yourself into this cable. This is not an exercise that you could go super heavy with, and it will humble you if you try, or you're gonna start to feel it in the wrong places or not at all. So we're gonna start with that working leg, which is gonna be my right leg, behind my left leg, which is my non-working leg. And we're gonna come out a little bit from the cable. The more you come out from the rack, the harder it's gonna be. We're gonna have a slight bend in that left leg and a slight lean to the left side, but we're gonna make sure that this hip stays nice and straight. Well, it's okay if we have a little bit of a bend on this left side. From there, we're gonna turn the toe slightly in on the right side, and I'm gonna let my foot come as close to that cable as I can, creating that stretch through this part of my glute. From there, I'm gonna go out to the side, but also slightly back. So it's not directly out to the side here. We have a slight angle backwards, and I'm looking again to work this part of the glute. When I get out to the side, I start to feel it more in the front of my hip. So for me, keeping that foot turned inward and then going slightly out to the side and back has helped me work this part much, much better. Okay, so slight bend towards the left side, toe turns in, get that big stretch, and then out to the side, but also slightly back, lifting that leg, coming back in. So just to show you guys this exercise from a different angle, again, working leg is in the back, that cable is in line, or the string is in a nice straight line, slight bend towards that inside leg or my right side, turn that toe in, let it stretch, kick it slightly back, keeping that foot internally rotated. All right, y'all, that's all I have for you today. But if you want to see some more of my favorite leg day exercises and implement the new technique that I've been using to make my leg days even more effective and brutal, then you guys could check out this video right here, and it's going to show you exactly how to do that. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and I will catch you on the next one. Take care.